Okay, good morning. Um, so yesterday we were talking about the the belief system of where Hitler gets his beliefs here. What did I do with that? Oh, it's in my pocket. Um, and I put Francis Galton up here, and we started talking about eugenics a little bit, and this idea that the survival of the fittest and so forth is being used for kind of warped ideas, right? And so we talked about this in fourth hour. We ran out of time yesterday and here, but I think in one of your biology classes, you guys watched a movie called Gattaca. You guys remember this?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, guys, if you haven't seen this movie, you know what they say about science fiction is today's science fiction is tomorrow's reality. Now, guys, we have broken basically mapped the human genome, correct? And so, like when you take DNA from a baby that's in the womb, right? You can tell certain things about that baby, like things like if they're going to have Down syndrome, yes? Okay, so what this movie does is basically in the future, they think that they'll be able to predict certain things at birth about the child, about what their aptitude is, like their tendency towards what they'll be good at, or their tendency of what their life expectancy may be, or what diseases they may be predisposed to. Okay, and so if you have this child that is weak and sickly, and you look at the DNA. Well, why do we want this child when it's going to become a burden on society? You follow me? And so in the movie, they actually kind of chart your course of life from birth, right? So like this one guy wants to be a pilot, but he's destined to be a janitor at birth. You guys following me? Now that's one of the great things about this country in the United States. Look, if they did that to me at birth, okay, I would not be here right now. Some of you are thinking, dang, man, maybe they should have figured that out. Because, guys, I probably wouldn't have gone to college. You know what I mean? If they looked at my aptitude at birth, guys, I didn't learn how to be a student about as good as you guys are until I was about 21. Okay, obviously we're in an honors class right here. You guys have figured out a lot about how to be a good student, especially on that last test. You guys did really awesome as a class. Thank you. That was freaking great. Gives me hope in civilization. Okay, now not everybody got an A, but as a class, a whole bunch of people did, and that's good. And I appreciate you studying and that sort of thing. But back to this idea that certain people. So if you look at countries like Finland, okay, they always talk about Finland has the highest test scores in the world when it comes to students. And if you realize that they don't test all their students, they test only the ones that are on the track for college, because they'll test you at certain points in your schooling and you put you on different tracks. You follow me on this? Now, back in the 80s, early 90s, they started thinking, well, hey, every student in the United States should go to college, right? You guys believe that? Yeah, I mean, because like you could get a job right now or learn a skill right now and make a lot of money and not go into college debt. You follow me? Okay. And any of you guys would be capable of doing pretty much anything you think you want to do. You guys are capable of doing it. All right. So you could do that. You could become a welder and not go into college debt and make a good living. Okay. Or be an HVAC repair person. We need those people. Plumber, electrician. Yeah. You guys could all do that. Okay. But you're all going to go to college. No? What are you going to do? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good. You'll have a job for as long as you want and make a good living. Yeah, for sure. And not have a lot of college debt, probably. Okay, so are you guys with me, like, on this movie Gattaca about how this could be used by the government? Especially if there's a crisis, if there's a food shortage or something like this, you guys will not believe what I got in the mail.
Oh no.
This is a group called Negative Population Growth. Okay? Dear educator, if the issue of population growth and its dire impact on the future of today's young people is not presently part of your curriculum, I urge you to read this letter thoroughly and take steps today to include it. I make this request based on the fact that time is running short for all of us to work together to slow, halt, and eventually reverse population growth. If we continue to follow our present course, we face economic, social, and environmental chaos in only a matter of a few decades. Yes, that's definitely a bold prediction. However, when you consider that, if left unchecked, America's current population of more than 332 million will skyrocket to 404 million by 2060. I'm sure you can understand why it's crucial that we act today. Simply put, it falls on all of us to educate our nation's youth now on how they can more positively shape their future quality of life. What the hell is this?
Did you hear about, there was a representative from Pennsylvania who introduced in the national legislature a 3-child rule, like 2 days ago.
That every child?
3-child, you can only have
the 3-child rule.
And in the US, and if you have more than 3 kids, you'll get in huge trouble. And if you snitch on someone who has more than 3 kids or doesn't, basically the thing is the male has to get his tubes tied after 3 children or at age 40. And if he doesn't and you snitch on him, you'll get $10,000.
Are you paying attention? This stuff is scary, guys.
That was next to my youngest sibling.
Have you heard about the cashless society? Going away from using cash and everything will be done electronically. Have you heard about the IRS requiring banks to give information on all exchanges of over $600? Used to be $10,000 or $10,000 transactions would be, the IRS would be notified. That's the Internal Revenue Service, okay, the ones that collect taxes, okay? Listen, that's so people would do $9,999 transactions to avoid alarm bells going off at the IRS. Now they want banks to snitch on you anytime you deposit more than or spend more than $600. This is an invasion of privacy. So let's do away with cashless society, do away with cash. And why don't we all, while we're at it, why don't we all put a chip in our skin, or maybe just like right there on a barcode on our forehead, okay? And then anytime we walk into a store and we want to buy something, they just scan your forehead and it electronically comes out of your account. And by the way, that little scan in your head allows the government to track you wherever you go and whatever you do. Have you read Revelation? Okay, again, this Protestants tend to take this revelation more, as more of a reality than symbolism. Okay, this is scary stuff, guys, and all it takes is a food shortage, a crisis, and then the government starts implementing these rules. We're not even in a crisis right now. Okay, yes, we're coming down off this pandemic, but guys, we're not in a crisis. Okay, but what you're seeing are some radical ideas being thrown out there. There will be teachers that will be teaching their students this crap about overpopulation. Now, guys, I've traveled the United States. Okay, do we have room for 60 million more people? Of course we do. You guys, we live in Kansas, right? Have you been to Colorado? Have you been to Wyoming? Have you been to Alabama? Guys, there's plenty of room for people. Now, what we need is water, And we do have some water shortages, especially on the West Coast. You guys know what desalination is? Desalinating salts from water? Yeah, yes? Do we have that capability? Oh, okay. Well, what is it? What percent of the earth is covered by salt water? A water crisis? Are you kidding me? Can we figure out how to desalinate and give people water? I think if we run out of regular water, we can do that, right? We'll figure out a way. Because people need water. Sarah, am I boring you? You're deep in thought. Okay. Yeah, you were in La La Land. It's okay. Hey, listen. I'm just kind of trying to shout across the bow here, guys, that this stuff, when it comes to human population, okay, and when you talk about, and I don't know how much you guys have studied critical race theory, okay, but guys, when you start, and the whole thing about the civil rights movement throughout, from the Civil War forward, has been trying to get America, United States, to treat people equally, to ignore their race, to ignore their gender, to ignore their religion, and treat everybody equally under the law. And for, with each other, as we interact with each other, to treat people with kindness and not discriminate against people. Okay? And so this idea of critical race theory divides people into groups. It's called tribalism or balkanization of human beings. Okay, why do you think the Hutus and the Tutsis in Rwanda, why did that lead to genocide? Because one group of people said that group of people was evil. But there was something wrong with that group of people. Okay, this leads to genocide. It happened in Yugoslavia. Okay, in the 1990s, people. Okay, we don't need to be dividing each other. We need to be uniting each other, focusing on our commonalities, not our differences. It leads to this kind of stuff. Okay, and you throw Christian religion into this, and we can solve a lot of our problems in this country. Christianity leads to a righteous path to human dignity. This stuff is evil. Okay? And when people don't believe in God, then you get this kind of stuff. All right? And it's scary. And so you guys need to wake up and pay attention to what's going on in this country. Okay? All right, sorry. Went off the deep end. All right, so I want to talk about the history of anti-Semitism, okay? Because obviously we're talking about Hitler, we're talking about the Holocaust eventually, and so forth, okay? So you have two types of anti-Semitism. Traditional, okay? Now, you guys have all familiar with the Bible. In the book of Exodus, and Moses. And Moses was a what? Jew. And Moses, his people, were what? They were Jews, and they were in Egypt, and they were slaves. Yes? And he led them out of Egypt. Yes? Why were the Egyptians enslaving the Jews? Okay, but yeah, all right, but what gave them the right to enslave Jews? What justification? They were different. Okay, they were different. And what was different about these Jews? Was it their skin color? No, they were all in the Middle East. Oh, they were monotheistic. Yes? And they believed in the God of Abraham. Yes? Did the Egyptians believe in this God of Abraham? No, that's silly stuff. These people, they're warped. Let's enslave them. Okay? So listen, guys, traditional anti-Semitism is based on religion. Okay? And then later on, we get the birth of Jesus Christ. Baby Jesus. And then baby Jesus grows up, right? And he becomes the Savior. He dies for us to fulfill the prophecy of the Old Testament. Yes? And forgive our sins. To sacrifice himself for our sins. Okay, and so we have a new covenant. Now, who killed this Jew? Who killed Jesus Christ? The Jews did. Now, these Jews, many of them converted and followed Jesus' teachings. Yes? And then there were some of them that didn't. They stayed with the old covenant. Yes? And they're still around today, these Jews. Okay? That don't see Jesus as the Messiah. Yes? So, what's wrong with these people? Why do they not see the light? Okay, so these Jews, as we go through the centuries, okay, so this is BC, right? When we talk about Moses, right? This is BC. And then you get AD, okay, after death. And there's this theory out there that these Jews don't want to follow Christ, okay? So this is based on religious differences, okay? Now, Jews are in small groups all over Europe, okay? They're in pockets all over Europe, okay? And they were always a minority, all right? But as we move through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th century, okay, there's this idea that Jews would eventually melt into society and assimilate, marry Christians and so forth, but that never really happened with many Jews, okay? So they were discriminated against and so forth over time, okay, because they were always a minority, okay, of a religion. But then there came this idea in the 12th and 13th century, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, ritual murder of Christians. Okay, so there's this idea, and it's a myth, okay, guys? Okay, but myths sometimes get perpetuated, all right? And so this myth was that Jews would occasionally need the blood of Christians for strength, vitality. And so they would kill Christians and drink their blood. You know, like vampires. I'm not making this up, okay? This is called ritual murder and blood libel. So by talking about this, I'm perpetuating this myth. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, in the 12th and 13th century, and these Christians that would be killed would usually be children. Okay, that Jewish men needed the blood of Christian children for food. So it's kind of like stealing the communion wafer and torturing it. I know. So this idea, this was happening in the 12th and 13th centuries, died out by the 16th century. And then in the 1880s, Okay, as we lead up to this, in Hungary, there was a Christian girl. She was 14 years old that disappeared on Easter Sunday. This was in the country of Hungary. Okay, and they arrested 2 Jews that worked at the local synagogue. These children had said they saw them take the girl. Okay? And guys, this was a sensational trial. You can find references to this trial in Hungary in American newspapers in 1882 and 83. So these 2 Jews were put on trial for ritual murder. Now, they didn't have a body. So while the trial was taking place, they found the girl's body. She was dead. But the 2 Jews were dismissed of charges. Do you guys know what kosher foods are? Okay, so when Jews eat meat, the animal that is eaten has to be killed a certain way. You guys know how they do that? They cut the throat of the animal, allow the blood to come, to leak out from the body, get all the blood out, okay? And then they can prepare the meat. Okay, when they found the girl's body, she had not had her throat cut. And so they knew it wasn't a ritual murder. Okay, but it's too late. This is in all the newspapers. You know what I mean? Like, people are talking about this around the world, that these Jews are killing Christian children and drinking their blood. Like vampires. Okay? So that happens in the 1880s. So you continue this perpetuation of the other. These people are not like us. Okay? And then you throw in, guys, social Darwinism. Okay? And you get modern anti-Semitism. Which is based on what? The Jews are a different what? Race of people. Not just a different religion, but a different race. So remember, folkish nationalism, ethnic nationalism. If there are Jews living in Germany or in Vienna, Austria, are they the same ethnicity as Germans or Austrians? They don't fit. So when you start to get nationalism, okay, and then ethnic nationalism, the Jews are in trouble here. They don't fit. Right? Now, in this country, guys, we have the most multicultural country in the world in the United States. Okay, a lot of people say diversity is our strength. I don't know if that's true or not, but we are diverse. Okay? And when we perpetuate the other amongst us, that gets us in trouble. Okay? And the Jews, guys, are in big trouble with these attitudes. Okay? You with me? So you guys can describe the difference between traditional and modern anti-Semitism? Okay, good. All right. Yeah, they were found not guilty. Okay. It's really it's crazy. It created hysteria. These trials. Okay, and this was not the only one. Okay, there were others. You can look it up. Oh, in fact, here, let me do something. I've got something here for you. Just so you know, I wasn't making the whole vampire thing up. I don't want an advertisement. Okay, pick this up. This French Jew was burned at the stake 344 years ago. Found guilty, burned at the stake for allegedly killing a 3-year-old for ritual purposes. They're cleared 344 years later. Pardoned, if you will. Okay. What's that? Nancy, you have to talk louder. Yes, it's a little bit late, okay? Make people feel good, better about themselves, or, you know, I mean, by bringing this up, like me even teaching it, teaches you something that most people, 99% of Americans have no idea what ritual murder is. You understand? Count yourself blessed. Okay? It's freaking nuts, man. So, guys, what's interesting is when I took this class in grad school, my professor was Jewish. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that we get about this anti-Semitism, I'm getting from a Jew. Okay, what happened? That link's in your notes if you want to read more about it. Okay. Okay, so I think we're ready to actually take a little bit more notes. Okay, we may get off this slide today. See what happens. Okay. So we talked about Hitler's youth and you know, growing up where he formed his ideology. Okay, and then in 1914, for those of you that still haven't figured out the dates of World War I, 1914 to 1918. Hitler goes to join the Austrian army. And he's denied. So he joins the German army. Okay. Now, Hitler did move to Germany. Okay. Kind of back and forth. Okay. To, have any of you guys been to Germany? Okay. Let me draw a crude map up here of Germany. How's that map assignment coming, people? Okay, this is a crude map of Germany. This is Czech, okay? And Austria is down here. What's the capital of Austria? We're getting there, okay? What's the capital of Germany? Berlin, okay? And it's over here. Okay, now, in Germany, guys, they have states like we have states. Yes, like regional government, okay? Now, this one down here is called Bavaria. And we're going to be talking a lot about this region. Now, Brunau, where Hitler was born, is down here, and it borders Bavaria. And the largest city in Bavaria, its capital, is Munich. So if you go to Germany, you definitely want to go to Munich, okay? Because it's really it's a really neat city, okay? And the beer is, well, fantastic, okay? So listen. So Hitler moves back and forth here, okay, over time, then joins the German army. And guys, people that served with Hitler in the military said he was in his element, okay? He really enjoyed being part of the German army. He was obviously a high school dropout, so he's not going to become an officer, okay? But he will become a corporal, which, you know, not bad for a high school dropout, I guess. But during that war, he was actually caught up in a poisonous gas attack in 1918, in the last year of the war. He was a courier. So a courier is delivering messages to the front and back to headquarters. To the front, it's kind of a dangerous job. Okay, but Hitler sees this with zeal. Okay, he liked it. Okay, so he gets caught up in this. He's in the hospital when Germany surrenders. Okay, and this really messes with him because he believes in the superiority of the German people or the Aryan people, and they just surrender. And he's in the hospital helpless, and this is really going to affect him. It's going to make him mad, and he's looking for somebody to blame. Who in the German nation that did not fight with all they had to defeat the Allies? You know who? The Jews. Okay? So when the war is over, Hitler actually stays in the German military. Okay, now they're basically going through a civil war trying to figure out who's going to rule over Germany. Remember, they lost 2 million people. Okay, tens of millions that are affected by this war in a very negative way. Okay, and so his job is to go around and spy on political parties for the army to make sure that there's nobody trying to overthrow the government, a coup or something like that. Okay, to keep an eye on things. So he would go from political party meeting to political party meeting and so forth and sit in and listen. And one day, down here in Munich, he goes into this beer hall. Now, guys, German culture is in many ways built around the beer hall. So when you have a government meeting, like a school board meeting or a city council meeting, they would hold those in the beer hall. Okay, these are large buildings, sometimes open air with like picnic tables. So if you go to the Opera House in Munich, it's quite wonderful. There's polka music playing in the back, but there's a band, okay, and there's beer and there's sauerkraut and all that, okay, bratwursts and sausage. It's quite lovely, okay, and have you guys heard of this place called Probst? It's in Revolution. Revolution is like a little shopping center with the cargo containers. Yeah. Have you been there? There's a German place called Probst, okay, which in Romania means Probst in Romanian means jackass. But yeah, Lily and I went and ate there and looked up Probst, what it means, and the first thing that came up, Romanian, jackass. Okay, so it's kind of a running joke. But anyhow, these beer halls, okay, are where they have meetings. So Hitler's sitting in this meeting, and there's like 6 or 7 people there. It's a political party called the DAP, the German Workers' Party. Okay, now when you drive from Austria into Germany, does it say, "Welcome to Germany"? What's it say? Welcome to what? Deutschland. Okay? Germany is Deutschland. You with me? German, Arbeiten, Workers' Party. Okay, German Workers' Party. All right? Hitler goes into this meeting, he's like, man, I like these people. You know what they believe in? Volkish nationalism. Okay? Yeah, hey, these are my people right here. Okay? So he goes to another meeting or two, and he's like, all right, I'm all in. He resigns from the army and goes full time with the DAP. This party, remember, starts with 6 or 7 people. Throw Hitler in, we're at 7 or 8. Okay? And this is what? 1918, 1919. Okay? So eventually the Civil War is over in Germany and you get the Weimar Republic. Okay. And so in February of 1920, now remember the Treaty of Versailles, right? That ends the war. It's going to punish Germany, yes? $33 billion, yes? They're going to take away German territory. They're going to limit the size of their army. They're going to limit the size of their navy. They're not allowed to have an air force. Okay, so really the Treaty of Versailles basically clamps down on Germany and punishes them for World War I, trying to push them down so they will never rise again and start another war. Now, do you guys familiar with what was called the Franco-Prussian War? Okay, so who was that between? Franco-Prussian. France and Germany. Okay, now this is back in the 1870s. So the Franco-Prussian War happened, then World War I happens where Germany invaded France again. You know what the French are tired of? They're tired of the Germans invading their country. So really it's the French that are behind this. You with me? The French are the ones driving this down, trying to punish Germany. Okay? So this DAP is going to try and appeal to those people that are being affected by Germany being pushed down. Okay? To avenge the Treaty of Versailles. Remember, these people think that they are superior. All right? You know, after the Franco-Prussian War, the French built, you know what they built after the Franco-Prussian War? What they built? The tallest structure in the whole continent of Europe, called the Eiffel Tower. What were the French doing by building this Eiffel Tower? They were showing off their masculinity. Okay? The French had created a phallic symbol. Oscar, do you know what that is? Yes. Lexi? Ruby? What? Anybody? I didn't tell you this. My graduate school professor did at Wichita State. The Eiffel Tower is a symbol of masculinity. It's a giant penis. It's showing off the strength of the French.
Okay, I can't say that now.
You'll never look at that thing again the same. Right?
The city of love.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So guys, the French are mad at the Germans. Okay. So in February of 1920, Hitler's going to speak with the German Workers' Party in front of about 2,000 people. Now, what everybody in the room, including Hitler, figures out is that he's really good at giving speeches in front of people. Okay. He always started slow. Okay. Calm. And then slowly worked himself up. And at the same time, working the crowd up into a frenzy eventually. Okay. And guys, you know what happened to the number of members of the German Workers' Party? It grew rapidly. And then Hitler takes charge and says, you know what? This is my party. And he changes the name to the NSDAP. And that's a mouthful, so let's just shorten it. The Nazi, okay? National Socialist German Workers' Party. Okay, now if I had a student that spoke German in here, we could go through that and talk about how it sounds like. Say it all together. You can get to Nazi. Okay, so the National Socialist German Workers' Party. They have a 25-point platform. We talk about political parties. We talk about platforms. Okay, those are their stances on the issues. I'm not going to give you all of them, but I want to give you some highlights of the NDSAP. Okay, their primary political stance is opposition to the Treaty of Versailles. It is a stab in the back of Germany. The party is anti-Semitic, anti-democratic, anti-pacifist, and anti-communist. Now, this is going to resonate with a lot of German people. Okay? Only those of German blood should be German citizens. So, this is where we get into. So he organized his own political party. His aim to seize the government, lead Germany to world dominance, driven by a passionate anti-Semitism, determined to exterminate the Jews, who he blamed for German problems. Now listen, this idea of extermination or the final solution, you may have heard of this. Final solution is to exterminate all European Jews. That did not come, guys, until really 1944. Okay, we're in 1933. Okay, so this is not actually historically accurate with that time period of 1933. Okay, but they did want to get rid of European Jews, get them out of Germany. They wanted them gone, not necessarily killing them. So Hitler's going to try. Make it. What time do we get out? What, 50? Okay, good. I'll let you guys write this down and then I'll talk about it, okay? Because quite a bit there. I want you to be able to pay attention. I'll just put the whole thing up. Yeah, get that on there. So some of you all heard of this about Hitler going to jail. This is known as when he tries to take over. He's trying to take over the region of Bavaria, not the whole country. Okay, so he goes to this Bavarian Munich government meeting in a beer hall, and guys, the Nazi party actually wore uniforms. Okay, what color were their uniforms? They were the brown shirts. Okay, the brown shirts. And they had that swastika on their sleeve. Okay, the brown shirts. Now, do our political parties wear uniforms in the United States?
Not really.
No.
They're the colors of it.
There used to be like, it's kind of changing, but blue collar, white collar type stuff. But that's kind of in flux right now. But yeah, I mean, they wear uniforms. So they're having a local government meeting, a regional government meeting, and the Nazis show up, Hitler shows up, and says, look, I'm taking over. And a fight breaks out. There's guns. People get shot. Like 19 people die. Hitler's actually wounded and arrested and put on trial. All right. 1923. Going to put an end to Hitler right there. 19 people died. He could have gone away for life. He chooses to represent himself in the trial. He's put on a platform. So he up in court and starts espousing all these we talked about how he was just trying to help Germany return to greatness, that the Treaty of Versailles, we need to stand up to the French and the British and these other people and return ourselves to a full place in the world. And the judge likes what he hears. But he also realizes that Hitler's dangerous because he's so good at it, okay? So he gets a 2.5. This is a coup. They tried to overthrow the government. 19 people died. It's 2.5-year sentence. Now, guys, this prison that Hitler's in, it's not like Rikers, okay? It's not like Leavenworth. It's like an apartment, okay? It's like a white-collar prison. He has visitors come and go. It's like a little apartment, okay? And so while he's in there for 18 months, only served 18 months because of good behavior, he's planning. He writes this book, okay? My Struggle, Mein Kampf, okay? Which you can find in our library, English translation, where he lays everything out. Okay, what he wants to do. So guys, it's a playbook. It's a playbook. Just like the Quran is a playbook for ISIS. It's in there. What they want to do, it's all in there. So if you want to know what Hitler's plans are for the future, read his book. Okay? So in this, obviously he talks about the master race, the Aryan race, entitled to rule the world. He plans for a third Reich, which is to rule for 1,000 years. Now, when I started teaching this, I said, oh, well, if this is the third Reich, what were the first two Reichs? Any ideas? The Holy Roman Empire under Charlemagne, and then Frederick the Great and the Hohenzollerns. I don't know if you remember studying those people. World history. Okay, those are the first two Reichs. Okay, this would be a third Reich to rule the world for 1,000 years. And then this word, which is German word, Lebensraum, which means living space, that they need more space for the German people to grow food for the German people, for the master race, and so forth. And where would they find that land that they should take, that living space? Where would they find it? In the east. Now, what stands between Russia and Germany? Poland. Poor Poland. situated between these two countries. So if you're Russia, do you think anybody in the Russian government read Mein Kampf and knows that Hitler wants to take over Russia? Yes? Yes? Yes. Okay? Now, you can see the growth. Now, guys, Hitler's not allowed to speak publicly until 1928. And here's the thing, guys. The German economy actually improves after 1924. So there's no reason for a Nazi party. Follow me? There's no reason for a communist party if things are getting better in Germany. Well, what happens in 1929? Stock market crash in the United States, spreads around the world, worldwide economic depression, and now there's a need for the Nazi party. Okay? So there, we will pick up tomorrow. Good? Made it. So